I'm going to give a quick area familiarization with the bike path and Beach Range Road and some access points for the bike path. I know those who have not spent time in PD may not have spent a lot of time down on that bike path and may not be familiar with how to access it with a vehicle. So what I want to talk about is the bike path that runs through town, which is the smaller of the two trails, and then we have Beach Range Road and we have our train tracks. So something important to keep in mind when we're responding to calls on the bike path or Beach Range Road is that the two are not only separated by the train tracks, but also by a chain link fence, which runs right where this little faint shadow is in the image. So if you have a patient on the bike path and you access Beach Range Road, you're not going to be able to get to them because of the chain link fence. So I want to talk about getting an ambulance onto the bike path specifically and how to best get them in and out of there, as we had an ambulance get stuck in the sand the other day trying to turn around. So there are a few different options for access. Here at Rhindaller, where you've got a ramp that an ambulance could easily just turn onto the ramp and continue down the bike path. Another option is here at the end of Marina Drive, where we have the gate. If we were to open that for them, they can access this, which is kind of the beginning of Beach Range Road. It's going to come under the highway. They'd have to go across these little dirt track, which everyone is probably familiar with, and then make a hard left-hand turn under the highway where it meets up with the bike path. And then they can continue down the bike path that way. Starting right in that area is the chain link fence separating the bike path from the railroad tracks. So anywhere starting here, you're going to run into issues if you access it the other way. There's also an opening here at the end of the K-rail on the southbound on-ramp to 1, where they could come through right there. So if you got your ambulance onto the bike path and they continued down, we had our medical emergency in this area, so the ambulance was able to get down here no problem. The trouble came when they tried to turn around and got stuck in the sand. So after doing some familiarization with where to get a tow truck down there, we found another good access point. If you were to take the off-ramp from southbound 1 onto Imgen, but instead of turning onto Imgen, continue to the southbound on-ramp, just at the end of the cement barrier, there is an opening here where the curb ends, right here, and the wall ends, and there's an opening here which the tow truck was able to just swing in and drive down. So if you have an ambulance accessing the rec trail or the bike path, get their patient, and then continue, they can just drive right onto the on-ramp and off to the hospital. So that's another option. The image here is dated. This is no longer a temporary wall, and there is no opening here. It's a permanent cement barrier. Another option for accessing it is behind the VA on 9th or 8th, before you get to the overcrossing going to the Stillwell Hall area. The beginning of the bike path is right here. All these buildings are currently demolished and behind chain link fence, but there is no obstruction to the bike path. So you're able to get a pickup or an ambulance onto the bike path here, continue down past where the old USAR building was here, continue under the highway, and then when you get here, make a hard right. The engine could fit, but it's a very tight fit, and the path does get pretty narrow, but a pickup truck can easily fit down there, or an ambulance, and then you can continue northbound to wherever your medical is. And then you can come back out the same way, or if you didn't want to turn around, once again, you could just go down to Imgen and make a little U-turn here and hop right on the ramp towards Monterey. The only place, the other important thing to keep in mind is that the only place that the Beach Range Road makes any sort of accessible connection to the bike path, or the rec trail as it's also called, is back at Marina Drive at the end, at the gate, or clear out of our jurisdiction past Light Fighter. The bike path continues on here, actually here, and it continues south, and it's divided this whole way by the tracks and by the fence line. But if you continue far enough south, there is a spot where they join here, where Beach Range Road ends. So it's quite a ways between there and our city proper, way down here. But just to recap, you got several areas of the sidewalk in town where an ambulance could access the bike path. You've got the end of Marina Drive. You've got a couple dirt patches that they could jump across here. You've got Imogen Road off-ramp and on-ramp area, and you've got behind the VA to access there and go under the highway and wrap around. So hopefully that helps with some access if you were to get a call on the rec trail.